Bear with me. I'm going to make sure our audio is good. No, it doesn't seem like it is right now. Okay, we're good. All right, 9 o'clock on the dot. Is that a good time for you, Rudy? Yeah, Rudy sits right off. Right off. You can come over here and chit chat if you want, whenever you want to. No? Okay. All right. Rudy came out to Weatherfest Saturday over at the Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History. Great event for the community. Lots of learning, lots of fun experiences on the weather wall out there. But 9 o'clock here, I would quote Billy Joel, but it's not a Saturday. Right? Is that the lyric, Rudy? It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday, but it's a Tuesday night, so the crowd's not shuffling in tonight, unfortunately. We're going to be talking heat, and it's been very, very humid here, coupled with the high heat. And so we'll get talking about this. I'm just going to let people join up on the Facebook Live. Typically, when we're not expecting active weathers, these things aren't terribly well attended. But, you know, heat, I guess it's not the sexy weather hazard. It's not a tornado. It's not giant hail. It's not a hurricane. Not a severe thunderstorm, but heat is the #1 killer when it comes to weather, related hazards. So we'll start out here with the Gulf of Mexico, which is right now about a month ahead of where it typically is in early June. We're running in the mid 80s in the Western Gulf. That's anywhere between 3 and 5 degrees Fahrenheit above average. We should be in the upper 70s, in the low 80s right now, and we're in the middle 80s. Down in the Bay of Campeche there, you see 86 at that buoy reading. So, the sea surface temperatures being so warm, that's one of the contributing factors to what I think is the insanely high amount of humidity that is in our atmosphere right now. May was the most humid month on record with respect to average dew point. June picking up right where May left off. And that humidity is, translating for us here in South Texas and the coastal bend to really high heat index values. Farther north, you start marrying that humidity with upper level disturbances, little fronts, and you get this recipe for a very active spring, north of I-10. So humidity is sky high. It is through the roof, and that coupled with the high temperatures today sent the heat index values, I called it into orbit earlier. They were up over 120 in numerous locations. We had a high of 96 in Corpus Christi. That wasn't a record, a degree shy there, but the overnight low of 85, not only is that a record high for the date, but it's also one of 4 now all-time record warm low temperatures on record. And the other one was yesterday. The other 2 are in before 1950. One of them is in the 19 teens, and the other one's in the 1940s. So 85 for an overnight low is the warmest all-time low temperature in Corpus Christi. That's saying something. All-time. When you're talking all-time records for a place, that's considerable. So you see how much above average that is compared to the overnight low on a, average June 4th, 74, and we were some 11 degrees above that. So just wildly humid out. And that humidity is translating to a 122-degree heat index this afternoon. That's how hot it felt in Corpus Christi. And to put that into perspective, that's the second highest heat index on record in June in Corpus Christi. The other one, the highest, was last June, 2023. So, you know, we're into rarefied air with respect to how hot it has been not only last summer, but into this June too. And you see how highly ranked all of those heat index values are. The max values, 123 in Kingsville, nearly 120 in Alice, second highest heat index on record in Hebronville, 113 for June. All of these are just for June, not the all-time highest. So, I mean, it's just oppressive out there. We're getting questions about, well, why is Kingsville, for example, always so much hotter? Why is it always the highest heat index there? And really, it's this stripe of land between generally highways 281 and highway 77. In that little strip there, because of the way our southeasterly prevailing winds come in, you are far enough away from the Gulf of Mexico to allow the temperatures to really heat up. Drier air, you know, gets hotter quicker, but you're also close enough to where you don't really have the humidity completely gone. It's still very humid, and it's that mix, that just zone between high temperatures and high humidity that really zooms up the max heat index values. You know, I think today George West, Orange Grove, and Kingsville were all 120 plus on the feel-like temperature this afternoon. Got a question from Tremaine Huff. Good question, Tremaine. How many tropical disturbances will be seen in the Gulf of Mexico with this extremely warm water? I recommend watching our hurricane special. We throw out a forecast and some of the odds in play for this area in particular. It's on our YouTube page. Just search KIII Hurricane Special 2024. You will find that. But I do want to say about the water comment there, that water being very warm is just one of many, many, many variables. You need a good environment from bottom to top to also be able to support tropical development. So you can think of the water like the fuel, right? Let's say you've got a car that's fully topped off. You got a full load of fuel in there. If there's nothing to start the ignition, that fuel is just going to sit in your car, right? So yes, it's an important piece to the puzzle if and when storms can move over these things, but water temperature being so warm as a standalone variable doesn't have any bearing on eventual outcome of who gets what during a hurricane season. So good question. We get that a lot. And high water temperatures, just one piece of the puzzle. So back to this map, near the coast, you know, Flower Bluff, Rockport, Refugio, you have a much higher level of humidity, which suppresses the max air temperature. So you get the lower air temperatures comparatively with that higher humidity. And then the heat index isn't as bad either. As you get inland, you get less humid air, but higher air temperatures. So often you'll see places like Freer, Benavides, Hebronville, Falfurrias, all these locations in the triple digits, but the heat index isn't that much higher than the air temperature because your humidity is a lot lower. So that's why that red zone in the middle there consistently does produce the highest amount of heat index out there. You can kind of see that still happening right now. It's not as pronounced in the nighttime, but it's 9:09 and it still feels like 109 in George West, 107 in Fal, 104 Kingsville, 112 in Mathis. So that trend is still somewhat holding in that area, with everyone except for Refugio reporting a triple-digit heat index. 909. here we are. Summertime in South Texas. Air temps 92 in Freer in Benavides, 94 in George West. It's 86 in Corpus Christi with a pretty dry looking radar. Tomorrow morning, mid to low 80s, upper 70s. It will be very similar to today, but we will have, I think, a low end chance for an isolated thunderstorm off some outflow that'll be coming in off of storms that are just getting fired up in Oklahoma, eventually moving through northeastern Texas. So we'll talk about that in play. We're talking about outflow-induced storm chances. It's almost like a domino effect. You need certain things to happen for the storms to come to fruition, so it's difficult to forecast, but we'll walk through that here as we continue on with this little live update. Tomorrow afternoon, mid-90s, heat index going to be well above 100. Air temperatures west of 281. In some cases, west of Highway 77. You look at Kingsville at 101 tomorrow. In the triple digits inland with 90 or so near the coast. The heat index, 120, 122. Kingsville, Falfurrias, 119 again in Alice, 117 in Corpus Christi. There's that stripe. Fal, Kingsville, Alice, maybe even George West, a little higher than that, of these just brutally hot heat index, temperatures. So it's aggressive even for us at this point. Last year was, I thought, abnormal to be so hot, triple digits on the air temperatures over 40 times, shattering the previous highest amount of frequent times we've been at 100, right? This year, we're like picking right back up where we left off. So is this the new norm? I hope not. But if we see another year that rivals last year, not liking the looks of that. Right now, super humid, moderate air quality. We still have that haze and smoke from the agricultural burns in place. Dew point, that's the real killer right there. 81 is just, man, it's high. It's way up there. The average dew point in the middle of summer is 75. That's the highest average dew point of any month throughout the year, and we're 6 above that right now in early June. So that's really the thing that's driving up, these heat-related concerns. So we mentioned the storm chance up in Oklahoma tonight. Those yellow polygons, the big ones, those are severe thunderstorm watch boxes. And what we're going to see happen is storm development in Oklahoma that will then move into northeastern Texas overnight. This is how our computer model handles this. So you'll see those storms progress through northeastern Texas, and as the storms continue, they're going to drop rain-cooled air. That air hits the surface, spreads out away from the storms, and it's called outflow. And those boundaries, those outflow boundaries, can continue on for hundreds of miles. And this in particular, this group of storms, this complex of storms, is going to lay down a pretty hardy outflow boundary. And that boundary is going to be sitting over south central Texas somewhere. And that will be the little catalyst for an isolated thunderstorm. And some of them could be a little bit strong to severe. So, the coverage isn't going to be impressive. The biggest rain chance tomorrow will be in southeastern Texas. But with this outflow boundary laying over the region, it's possible that a storm does pop and then becomes severe, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. You would have to get up to that 58 mile per hour range or higher for that to satisfy as severe, or hail up to an inch, which would also mean severe level storm. So the Storm Prediction Center has us in a low risk 1 on a 1 to 5 scale of an isolated, limited coverage severe storm tomorrow. Doesn't mean everyone in the green gets a storm. It means that's the region where that outflow boundary will be resting and a few storms may pop up on. That's all that means. And you know, the smartest people in the country with respect to severe weather are highlighting us as possible tomorrow because of this outflow boundary. So that's 11 o'clock in the morning, maybe some storm activity, San Antonio Bay, Port Lavaca, Matagorda Bay, somewhere up in there. And there could be more where, you know, where those arrows are. It doesn't necessarily mean that's where it will be, but farther inland, there could be additional activity trying to pop up. Other than that, hot and dry, front retreats to the north, dry line stays out to the west, nightly showers and storms over the Sierra Madres. That's Thursday. Here we go now into Friday. It will be another hot day. Lots of humidity, mid-90s, heat index 115 or so for Friday. And this high pressure that's been, you know, we've been talking about this for a while now, will be to our south tomorrow. It'll migrate to the west of Texas Thursday, Friday. That may take just a hint of humidity away. It's not going to do much. They'll stay in the mid-90s. Heat index will stay around 115. It may feel just ever so slightly less humid into Thursday, Friday because of that. 96 with a degree or two drop on the heat index. That's the smidge we're talking about. And next week, that high moves south. This is where we could see a little bit of a better chance for relief here. And a trough develops over the Great Lakes. Depending on how deep that trough digs, we may get a little weak cold front, try to get down into South Texas. It wouldn't, this would maybe take us back down closer to seasonal average. So mid to low 90s, heat index under 110, instead of mid to upper 90s, heat index 115. That's what we're talking about if this setup right here that we're looking at can yield a front making it all the way to South Texas. So until that happens, read them and weep. Read them and weep, baby. The heat index is just going to soar. Yeah, our sports guys don't like that. They're out there in the heat getting all, oh, you're going to Austin, yeah. Chris is going up to Austin. It'll be hot, yeah. He's mad they don't get the sea breeze like we do here. So mid-90s, heat index up around 115. Tropics, we're in hurricane season. No activity expected over the next 7 days. A lot of Saharan dust in the main development region of the Atlantic Basin. Tomorrow, hot, 117, the max heat index in Corpus Christi. Sunny to partly cloudy. Still going to have some of that haze in place from the agricultural burns. That should start to lessen over the next week or two. Usually by June, they're finishing up with that, but we're still dealing with it, evident on the air quality being poor. And on the beach, if you're going out there, high rip current risk and some minor coastal flooding. We're a few days out from a new moon, and new moon kind of lines up Earth, sun, new moon all lined up on the same plane. That can have a slightly bigger pull on area tides. So mainly around high tide time, morning time, some coastal flooding possible on area beaches. And again, buddy system if you're getting in the water with that high rip current risk. It's a non-watering week for Corpus Christi and Calallen. Aside from that low-end isolated storm chance, that outflow-induced storm chance tomorrow, I'm not seeing a ton of action with rain. It's just hot. Let's see if I can get some questions here. What's caused our jet stream to change? I don't know if it's necessarily a change in the jet stream. It's just, it's warmer. It's not a shift in the jet stream. We're getting under high pressure. You know, you talk to people living in the northern half of the state, and they're not talking about the heat. They're talking about all the rain that they've had. It's been one of the wettest springs on record for places north of I-10. So it's not a jet stream impact for us. It's our placement under high pressure. Okay. gonna end it here. There is a chance for a Starlink pass tonight at about 9:35. I've stopped throwing those up on on our Facebook because I can't get the timing. There's all these different sources, and I just don't have a way to nail down the timing. But it looks like there's a pass around 9:35. I don't even know exactly the orientation of it. I'm going to go and try and look that up. But a good site for that is Heavens Above. You got to make sure the coordinates are in correctly for where you're at, just like Corpus Christi. You might have a chance to see them. The skies are clear last time I looked out there. So I'm going to try and go out there and see if we can see it. Rudy's all excited. He's bummed he didn't bring his high-powered binoculars, but the old host will work, I think, on this one. So we'll see if we can get an eye on that pass. But for now, you know, heat safety, number one thing. Hydration is critical. If you're working outside, I feel for you. Pets that are outside need water. They need shade. You got to be taking breaks if you're working. You know, it could be as frequently as working for 20 minutes, taking 5 or 10 minutes off. Working for 20 minutes, taking 5 or 10 minutes off to get hydrated and stay in shade if you can, or air conditioning. Just take care of your body. You know, it's no joke. When the heat index values are this up there, it can be dangerous if you're just going about it willy-nilly like it's a sunny delight type of day, you know? So we're trying to urge people to practice the heat safety. Heat, the number one killer when it comes to weather-related deaths. And that's what we want. We want people to be safe in this climate that we have. It's a hot one in the summer. The payoff for it's in the winter. But we got to go through it every year, and we're already in the midst of it in early June. So we'll leave it there. We'll see y'all at 10 o'clock. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and try to stay cool wherever you can. We'll see y'all.